Welcome back, you beautiful catastrophe. Yes, you. The one they can't stop talking about when you're not in the room. The one whose name makes conversations pause mid-sentence. The one who walks in and suddenly everyone remembers they have somewhere else to be. You felt it, didn't you? That shift, that moment when you stopped being background noise and became the main event. They're all trying to avoid. They won't look at you anymore. Not directly. Not the way they used to. Their eyes dart away like you're too bright to witness, too dangerous to acknowledge, too real for their manufactured little world. Let me tell you what's really happening here, what they'll never admit out loud. You've become something they don't have a manual for anymore. You're not the person they filed away in their mental database. You're not the safe bet they thought they could predict. Somewhere between the last time they dismissed you and today, you transformed into something that makes their survival instincts scream. And now they feel it. That cold recognition crawling up their spine when you enter a space. That primal knowing that says, danger, without using words. They're getting chills, literal physical reactions, because some part of them deeper than conscious thought recognizes what you've become. You want to know why they're avoiding eye contact now? Because eye contact requires courage, and courage is something they traded for comfort years ago. They can't meet your gaze because looking into your eyes means facing everything they're not. It means seeing their own reflection in someone who stopped playing small, stopped apologizing for existing, stopped dimming their intensity to make others feel adequate. Your eyes carry weight now, a gravity they're not equipped to handle. There's something behind them, something they saw for just a split second that shook their entire reality. They saw the truth. What truth, you ask? Oh, it's simple and terrifying all at once. They saw that you're not bound by their rules anymore. They saw that you've walked through fires they couldn't imagine surviving. They saw that pain didn't destroy you. It reconstructed you into something sharper, colder, more precise. They looked into your eyes, expecting to find the old you, the manageable you, the you they could manipulate or ignore. Instead, they found a stranger wearing your face, a stranger who knows too much, a stranger who sees through their performances, a stranger who stopped caring about their approval somewhere around the third betrayal. Here's what's happening on a level they can't articulate but definitely feel. You're radiating a frequency now that disrupts their comfort zones. Your presence has become a mirror, and mirrors are violent things to people living in illusions. When you walk into a room, you're not just occupying space, you're changing the atmospheric pressure. You're shifting energy fields. You're forcing everyone to either rise to match your intensity or reveal how small they've chosen to remain. And most people will choose to remain small and resent you for exposing that choice. They're not avoiding you because you did something wrong. They're avoiding you because you did something right. You stopped participating in the collective delusion. You stopped pretending their games matter. You stopped treating their opinions like currency. You withdrew your energy from their validation economy. And now they're bankrupt in ways they can't explain to themselves. So they cope the only way they know how, by creating distance, by whispering when you're not around, by convincing themselves that your transformation is somehow a threat, when really, it's just a reminder of their stagnation. Let's talk about that energy, that presence you carry now. It's not something you manufactured or performed. It's something you earned through suffering they'll never fully understand. Every betrayal you survived added another layer of armor. Every disappointment you processed added another degree to your temperature. Every moment you chose yourself over their comfort added another frequency to your signal. And now you're broadcasting on a channel that only certain people can perceive, and it's making the unconscious ones deeply uncomfortable without them knowing why. You walk different now, did you notice? Not arrogant, not trying to prove anything, just different. Your footsteps have weight. Your movements have intention. There's no more apologetic shuffling, no more making yourself smaller to fit their expectations, no more dimming your light so they can shine. You move through space like you own the air you breathe, and that ownership, that self-possession, that's what's triggering their flight response. Because most people spend their entire lives renting their existence from others, seeking permission to take up space. And here you are, claiming territory without act. The eye contact thing, let's dig deeper into that. Eyes are portals, aren't they? Windows to something beyond the mask we all wear. And your eyes, they're not windows anymore. They're doorways. Doorways to a place they're terrified to enter. When they glance at you and quickly look away, they're not being rude. They're protecting themselves from what they might see if they look too long. They're afraid they'll see their own cowardice reflected back. They're afraid they'll see the truth about their choices, their compromises, their slow surrender to mediocrity. What's behind your eyes that scares them so much? Memory. Cold, clear memory. You remember who smiled in your face while sharpening knives for your back. You remember who promised loyalty and delivered abandonment. You remember who cheered for your failures and went silent at your success. You remember everything. And that remembering has turned into a weapon they can sense, but can't see. They know somewhere in their gut that you're not playing forgiveness games anymore. You're not handing out second chances like candy. You're not explaining yourself or defending your boundaries. You're just existing in your full truth. And that truth includes the receipts they hoped you'd forget. Here's what they're really afraid of. They're afraid you've become untouchable. They're afraid that none of their old tactics work anymore. The guilt trips bounce off you. The manipulation slides past you. The social pressure means nothing to you. They built their power on the ability to make people shrink. And you're not shrinking. You're expanding. And every time they try to put you back in the box they built for you, they find the box has been incinerated. And you're standing in the ashes, smiling. That smile, by the way, that's another thing that's unsettling them. You smile different now. It's not the eager, approval-seeking smile of someone trying to belong. It's not the nervous smile of someone afraid of conflict. It's something else entirely. It's the smile of someone who's seen the worst and survived it. The smile of someone who knows secrets others don't. The smile of someone who's made peace with their own darkness and learned to dance with it. That smile says, I know something you don't. And it drives them absolutely insane trying to figure out what. The chills they're getting, those aren't coincidental. Those are their bodies responding to something their minds can't process. You've activated their threat detection systems, but here's the twist. You're not actually threatening them. You're just refusing to play the role they assigned you. You're just living in alignment with your truth instead of their comfort. But to someone who's built their entire reality on control and predictability, authenticity looks like danger. Freedom looks like chaos. Self-possession looks like aggression. Well, they're getting chills because they're standing in the presence of someone who broke free. And freedom is contagious. Let me paint you a picture of what's happening in their nervous systems when you walk in. First, there's recognition. Their brain identifies you as someone from their social environment. Then there's confusion. Something's different. The energy signature doesn't match their memory. Then comes dissonance. Their expectations clash with reality. You're supposed to be one thing, but you're presenting as something else. And finally, there's that cascade of cold running down their spine as their body whispers what their mind refuses to accept. This person is no longer controllable, predictable, or safe by their standards. You know what else they're picking up on? Your silence. Oh, that silence is deafening. You used to explain yourself, didn't you? You used to fill uncomfortable silences with words, trying to make everyone comfortable, trying to bridge gaps that others created. Not anymore. Now you let the silence stretch. You let it become heavy and thick and revealing. You let people squirm in it while you remain perfectly still, perfectly calm, perfectly unbothered. That silence is a power move they can't counter because it requires them to show their hand while you reveal nothing. They're watching you move through the world now with a level of self-certainty that makes them question everything about themselves. You're not asking for permission anymore. You're not checking to see if your choices are acceptable to the group. You're not molding yourself to fit their expectation. You're just being, fully and completely being. And that kind of authentic existence is so rare in their world of performances and pretenses that they don't know how to respond, so they don't respond. They just watch from the corners, getting their chills, avoiding your eyes and wondering what the hell happened to you. What happened to you? Oh, that's the beautiful part. You died. Not physically, but every other way that matters. The old you, the one they knew and could control, that version died. It died in the silence of unanswered texts. It died in the realization that loyalty was one-sided. It died in the moment you understood that their love came with conditions you could never meet. It died in the space between who you were and who you had to become to survive. And from that death, something else emerged. Something they have no reference point for. Something that makes them uncomfortable because it reminds them of their own unlived lives. You're not trying to make them uncomfortable. That's the irony. You're just existing in your truth, and their discomfort is a them problem, not a you problem. But they'll never admit that. They'll create narratives about how you've changed, how you're different now, how you're not the person they knew. And they'll be right about that last part. You're not the person they knew. You're the person they helped create through their betrayal, their abandonment, their casual cruelty. They're getting chills from their own reflection, and they're blaming you for holding up the mirror. The way they scatter when you enter a room, like roaches when the light flips on, that's not about you being negative or bringing bad energy. That's about them being unable to maintain their facades in your presence. You see, fake people need an audience of other fake people to feel validated. Your authenticity disrupts their performance. Your genuine existence makes their manufactured personas look cheap and obvious. So they scatter. Not because you're driving them away, but because staying in your presence requires them to be real. And being real is the scariest thing most people can imagine. They talk about you when you're not there. You know that, right? Oh, the conversations they have, trying to figure you out, trying to explain your transformation, trying to find a way to make sense of someone who stopped making sense according to their rules. They'll say you're cold now, detached, maybe even mean. They'll say you've lost your warmth, your kindness, your light. What they won't say is that you didn't lose anything. You reallocated your resources. You stopped giving warmth to people who used it to burn you. You stopped sharing kindness with those who mistook it for weakness. You stopped shining your light in spaces that only wanted to harvest it while giving nothing back. Here's what's really happening with that eye contact avoidance. They're afraid of what you'll see in them. Because you're not just looking at people anymore, you're reading them. You're decoding their micro-expressions, their tone shifts, their energy fluctuation. You've become fluent in the language of bullshit, and they know it. One look from you and their masks start cracking. One moment of sustained eye contact and you'll see through their performance to the insecurity underneath. And they can't have that. They need their illusions intact, so they look away. They break contact. They pretend to be suddenly fascinated by their phones or the floor or literally anything that isn't your penetrating gaze. The chills they're getting are recognition chills. It's their body recognizing something their ego refuses to acknowledge. You're the one who got away. You're the one who broke free from the matrix of their expectation. You're the one who looked at their world and said, "No thanks, I'll build my own." And that is absolutely terrifying to people who've never even considered that option. You're living proof that the cage they're comfortable in is optional. That the chains they wear can be broken. That the life they've settled for is a choice, not a destiny. You carry death with you now, but not literal death. You carry the death of illusions, the death of pretenses, the death of comfortable lies. When you walk into a room, people feel their carefully constructed false selves starting to dissolve. And that feels like dying to them. So yes, in a way, death is entering the room when you arrive. The death of their ability to maintain their masks, the death of their comfort zones, the death of their certainty about who they are and who they've convinced themselves you are. Let's talk about power for a moment. Real power, not the performative kind. Real power is silent. Real power is calm. Real power doesn't need to announce itself or prove itself or defend it. Real power just is. And you've stumbled into real power through the only path that leads there, total devastation followed by complete reconstruction. You were broken down to your foundation and then you rebuilt yourself without asking anyone's opinion about the architecture. That's power. That's the kind of power that makes people's skin crawl. Because it can't be bought, borrowed, or faked. They're avoiding eye contact. Because eye contact is a form of energetic exchange, and they don't want to exchange energy with you anymore. They might take something from you they're not ready to handle, like accountability or truth or a reflection they're not prepared to face. Or worse, you might take something from them, like their ability to lie to themselves, their comfort with their own stagnation, their excuses for why they can't change. Energy exchange with you has become high stakes, and they're playing it safe by playing distant. What's that thing you're carrying behind your eyes that they caught a glimpse of? It's sovereignty. It's self-ownership. It's the knowing that comes from walking through hell and choosing not to become the devil. It's the wisdom that emerges when you stop letting other people write your story. It's the strength that builds when you realize that approval from people who don't respect themselves is worthless currency. They saw all of that in one accidental moment of eye contact, and it shook them because sovereignty is contagious, and they're in the middle of a life they've surrendered to others' expectations. The room gets colder when you walk in, doesn't it? Not temperature-wise, but energy-wise. There's a shift, a contraction, a sudden awareness that something different is present. That's because you're not matching their frequency anymore. You're not vibrating at the level of small talk and fake laughs and comfortable lies. You're operating on a different bandwidth, one that most people can't even perceive clearly, but can definitely feel. And what they feel is dissonance. The uncomfortable recognition that they're in the presence of someone who's playing a completely different game. They thought they knew you, and that's what makes your transformation so unsettling. If you were a stranger, this intensity might be expected, acceptable, even attractive. But you're not a stranger. You're someone they categorized, filed away, thought they understood. And now you're smashing their categories, rewriting their files, refusing to be understood on their terms. That's a special kind of disturbing for the human ego. It means their perception can't be trusted. It means people can change in ways that make old knowledge obsolete. It means they might have to update their worldview, and most people would rather get chills than do that. You're not here to make them comfortable anymore, and that's showing in everything. The way you hold yourself, the way you speak or don't speak, the way you move through their social games without participating. You're present but not available. You're visible but not vulnerable. You're there but not really there in the way they need you to be. And that ambiguity, that refusal to be fully known or fully engaged, that's absolutely maddening to people who are used to reading others and predicting their moves. Here's the thing about becoming untouchable. It's not about building walls or shutting down your emotions. It's about building such a strong foundation of self that external chaos can't shake you. It's about processing your pain so thoroughly that it becomes wisdom instead of wounds. It's about knowing yourself so completely that other people's opinions become background noise. And that's what you've done. You've become centered in yourself in a way that makes you immune to their usual tactics. And immunity looks like arrogance to people who've never developed their own. The chills are them feeling the power differential shift. They used to have power over you through their opinions, their approval, their inclusion or exclusion. They had the power to make you feel small or uncertain or desperate for their acceptance. And now that power is gone, evaporated, transferred. Now you have a power they can't touch, the power of not caring what they think, the power of being okay with being misunderstood, the power of choosing solitude over soul-crushing company. That power shift creates a temperature drop they can physically feel. You know what else is happening? They're projecting. Everything they say about you, every judgment they make, every story they tell, it's all when they say you're cold, they mean they're uncomfortable with your boundaries. You ever notice how people get real quiet when a storm rolls in? Sky turns dark, wind starts howling, and suddenly, nobody's got anything to say? That's you. You walk in and the air shifts. They feel something, but they don't know what. So they do what weak people always do. They joke, they whisper, they act like they don't see it. But deep down, oh, they see it. And it scares the hell out of them. They don't fear your fists. They fear what they can't explain. You walk in and the air shifts. Heavy. Uneasy, like the calm before a storm no one saw coming. Their laughter stutters, their words falter, their bodies stiffen, just a little, but you notice. Oh, you always notice. They pretend it's nothing, pretend they're not affected, but their eyes betray them. Darting, studying, trying to figure out why the hell they feel like prey. You haven't said a word, haven't lifted a finger, but they feel you. That's the thing about real power. It doesn't scream, it doesn't need validation, it just exists. It bends reality without force. It warps the atmosphere like an invisible hand squeezing the room. And the weak, oh, they hate that. because they can't define it, can't categorize it, can't control it. See, most people only understand the loud kind of strength, the fake bravado, the ones who bark the loudest, trying to convince the world they're wolves. But you don't need noise. You don't need theatrics. Your presence alone unsettles them. It's not something you do, it's something you are, a walking storm, a silent predator, a force of nature wrapped in human skin. And that terrifies them, because deep down they know, no matter how much they laugh, whisper, or pretend they don't see you, you see them. Some carry gold, others carry the weight of their name. And when your name carries weight, you don't chase attention. It bows before you. It's not about what you wear, not about what you own. Power isn't stitched into fabric or engraved on a watch. It's in the way you stand, unshaken, unmoved, as if the world itself would have to ask you for permission to keep spinning. You don't rush. You don't seek. You let the moment come to you. Because that's what they don't understand. Real presence isn't demanded, it's undeniable. It forces acknowledgement, whether they admit it or not. You've seen it, haven't you? The way the weak ones shift in their seats, how their confidence cracks under the weight of your silence. Their insecurities scream the moment you step in, because standing next to you, they feel small. And small minds hate feeling small. They'll say it's arrogance, call it intimidation, but deep down they know it's something else. It's that thing, that invisible force wrapped around your existence. It's the proof that strength isn't in words. It's in the unshakable certainty of your being. Most people live in the shadows of doubt, second-guessing, seeking approval, watching for reactions. But you walk like you own the air you breathe, like even gravity itself has to ask for permission to keep you grounded. And that is why they can't stand you. Because your presence is a reminder of everything they lack. When lions walk, the hyenas talk. They chatter, they snicker, they throw glances, whispering poison between nervous smiles. But watch them closely, really watch, and you'll see the truth in their eyes. They don't hate you, they fear you, and fear wears many masks. Some will mask it with laughter, pretending your presence doesn't unsettle them. Others will disguise it with venom, spitting words behind your back, hoping that if they weaken your name, they can weaken your presence. They can't. Don't you ever wonder why they talk about you so much? Why your name rolls off their tongues like an obsession? It's not because they don't care. It's because they can't ignore you. Your existence eats at them. Your confidence makes their skin itch. Your power makes them feel exposed, insignificant. And so they whisper, like insects in the dark. Because that's what cowards do. They don't challenge the lion to its face. No, they hide in the grass, hoping their noise is enough to make you doubt yourself, hoping their words will chip away at your strength. But lions don't answer to insects. The moment you stepped into your power, they felt the shift. And it terrified them, not because you harmed them, not because you threatened them, but because your presence alone is a challenge. A reminder of what they'll never be. Some will admire you, some will envy you, but most will simply fear you. And they won't even know why, because deep down they realize something. You don't need a pack. You never did. And that makes you unstoppable. People don't hate you. They hate how you expose them without even trying. You walk into a room and suddenly their smiles feel forced. Their confidence wavers. They shift, fidget, laugh a little too loud, trying to convince themselves that nothing's changed. But everything has, because your presence alone forces them to face something they spend their whole lives avoiding. The truth. You are a mirror, a reflection of what they could be but aren't. A reminder of every moment they chose comfort over courage, fear over freedom, weakness over willpower. And that burns, that hurts. Because standing next to you, they can no longer lie to themselves. Some will admire you. They'll see you as proof that greatness is possible, that strength can be built. They'll study you, learn from you, grow because of you. But others will resent you. They'll label you arrogant, intimidating, too much, because it's easier to hate the mirror than to fix their own reflection. And that's the burden of power, of self-assurance, of stepping into your full, undeniable presence. You don't just walk through life, you reveal life. You force the world to see itself, raw, unfiltered, exposed. That's why they flinch around you. That's why they talk behind your back. Because your very existence challenges their illusion. You make them see the chains they pretend aren't there, and deep down, that terrifies them. Because once they've seen the truth, they can never unsee it. A candle never fears the darkness, but the darkness will always fear the flame. And you are the flame. A force that stands tall, that flickers but never fades, that lights the way even when the world begs for shadows. But the problem with shining too bright, it makes the weak uncomfortable. It makes the insecure feel exposed. And so, they don't try to light their own fire. They try to put out yours. They won't come at you head on. No, that would take strength. Instead, they chip away at you in small, quiet ways. A backhanded compliment, a doubtful look, a whisper of discouragement wrapped in fake concern. Are you sure this is the right path? Maybe you're being too much. You've changed. They want to plant doubt in your mind because they can't stand the confidence in your step. They want to dim your light, not because you harmed them, but because you remind them of what they lack. And rather than grow, they choose to destroy. These people, they're energy vampires, draining, manipulative. They don't just want a piece of your fire, they want to leave you in ashes. They feed off your doubts, your hesitations, your moments of weakness, because that's the only time they feel strong. But here's the thing about fire. It doesn't beg for permission to burn. It doesn't ask the darkness to be comfortable. It consumes, it rises, it reminds the world that light can't be caged. So protect your energy like your life depends on it. Because in a world full of darkness, your flame is more than just yours. It's a signal to others that they too can burn through anything. And that's exactly why they fear you. The pack fears what doesn't need it. They stick together, huddled close, whispering in circles, clinging to each other for validation, for comfort, for the illusion of strength. But you walk alone, not because you despise them, but because you've outgrown them. You see the world for what it is, not a place for blind followers, but a battlefield for those who refuse to kneel. And that scares them. Because needing a pack means safety. It means reassurance. It means hiding among the numbers, blending in, never having to stand out. But when you break away, when you walk your own path, you force them to ask a question they don't want to face. Am I strong enough alone? Most aren't. That's why they talk. That's why they stare. That's why they label you arrogant, distant, cold. They need to make sense of your solitude, need to convince themselves that your independence is loneliness, not power. Because if you're happy without them, if you're thriving without them, it's not easy, is it? Walking alone, feeling the weight of silence where there used to be noise, not because you pushed them away, but because they never truly belonged beside you. Growth is a lonely road, not because it has to be, but because few have the courage to walk it. But there's beauty in this solitude, in knowing you don't need a pack to survive, in understanding that your power isn't in numbers, it's in your unshakable belief in yourself. The wolf that doesn't beg for a place in the circle, that's the one they fear. That's the one that stands above the rest. And when the time comes, that's the one that rules the wild. They hate you, but watch how they imitate you. They roll their eyes when you speak, but their ears never stop listening. They mock your confidence, but you catch them mirroring your movements. They talk behind your back, yet somehow their style, their words, their ambitions start looking eerily similar to yours. Coincidence? No. It's the oldest trick in the book. Envy disguised as hate. See, the weak will never admit admiration. That would require humility. That would mean looking at you and saying, "Damn, I wish I had that fire." But their ego won't let them, so instead they play the game, pretending to despise you while secretly taking notes, watching your every move, hoping to extract just enough to become you without ever giving you credit. That's the irony of power. The ones who resent you the most, they're your biggest students. They study you in silence, hoping to steal a drop of your essence while cursing your name. They fear you, they respect you, but they'll never say it out loud. And here's where most people fail. They seek validation. They want the applause, the recognition, the pat on the back. But a true king, a true force, he doesn't need the claps. He makes the whole damn crowd copy his rhythm. So let them hate, let them deny, let them pretend they don't see you while their whole damn existence starts looking like a second-rate version of yours. That's when you know you've already won. Power isn't just given, it's tested in fire, betrayal, and solitude. You think strength comes easy? You think walking with an unshakable aura is a gift? No, it's a burden, a test, a trial by fire that most people will never survive. Because when you radiate something unstoppable, the world doesn't applaud. It resists, it attacks, it tries to break you. The moment you step into power, the daggers come flying. Some are obvious. Jealousy, sabotage, lies. But the real threats? They come in smiles, in disguised concern, in whispers that sound like advice but are actually designed to make you doubt yourself. Are you sure you're not being too much? Maybe you should tone it down. People don't like arrogance. Arrogance or authority? Because let's be real. If you were weak, if you were small, if you were insignificant, no one would care, no one would plot, no one would try to pull you down. Your energy is a storm, and storms don't get ignored, they get feared. So let them try, let them gossip, Let them scheme. Every attempt to stop you only fuels the fire. Every betrayal, every challenge, every damn obstacle, it sharpens you. It forces you to become something even stronger. And that is why they'll never win. Because they're trying to break something that was built to be unbreakable. Real power doesn't announce itself. It walks in silence and lets the room adjust. Weak men scream for attention, they pound their chests, they beg to be seen, they try to convince the world they matter. But real power? It doesn't beg. It doesn't boast. It doesn't need to. It steps in, and suddenly the air changes. The energy shifts. People feel it before they even see it. See, when you truly own yourself, your mind, your presence, your essence, you don't have to force respect. It's automatic. You don't have to demand the room's attention. It gravitates toward you. People will sense something they can't explain, a force they can't define, and that's what terrifies them. The loud ones, they rely on noise because they have nothing else. They hope their words will do what their presence cannot. But the ones who move like ghosts, the ones who speak only when necessary, they hold real power. Because when they finally do talk, everyone listens. The secret? Stop announcing your moves. Stop explaining yourself. Stop proving your worth. Just be. Walk in, observe, let your silence make the weak nervous. And when you finally act, make sure it leaves a scar. They will write stories about you, even if it's just in their minds. Long after you leave the room, they'll still talk. Long after you walk away, your name will linger in their thoughts, haunting them like a ghost they can't exorcise. Why? Because people never forget the ones who shook them to their core. This is the final stage, the point where you don't just exist, you imprint. Your presence becomes a legend, your silence a mystery. Your absence, a void they can't fill. By the time they realize your worth, it's already too late. Because you never needed them. They needed you. Your energy was the fire in their cold world, the storm that reminded them how small they were. And now they're left with only echoes of what once stood before them. An unstoppable force they couldn't break. Most people live and fade, but not you. You're the type they'll tell stories about, even if they lie. Even if they twist the narrative to make themselves feel better. Even if they pretend you were never that great, deep down, they know. So let them fear, let them whisper, let them rewrite the past in their fragile little minds. You keep walking like the legend you are. Oh, look who finally stopped giving them what they wanted. Welcome back, you beautiful detached masterpiece. You silent storm wrapped in a half smile. You walking contradiction that makes their hands shake when they see your name pop up on their screen. Yeah, I'm talking to you. The one they're still watching. Still analyzing, still desperately trying to decode like you're some ancient text written in a language that died centuries ago. They thought they had you figured out, didn't they? They thought they knew exactly which buttons to push, which words would shatter your composure, which actions would finally make you explode into the rage monster they've been painting you as for months, maybe years. But here's what's driving them absolutely insane right now. Here's what's making them scroll through your old messages at 3 in the morning, sweating through their sheets, questioning every assumption they ever made about control and power and human behavior. You stopped reacting, not just stopped fighting back, not just stopped defending yourself, not just stopped explaining your side of the story to people who were never listening anyway. No, you did something far more terrifying than that. You stopped caring entirely. You looked at the chaos they orchestrated, the drama they manufactured, the traps they set with surgical precision, and you just walked past it all like it was background noise in a coffee shop you'll never visit again. They're panicking now because they finally understand what they're dealing with. They sent provocations and got silence. They manufactured crises and got indifference. They tried to pull you into their emotional quicksand and watched you levitate right over it without even acknowledging the trap existed. This wasn't supposed to happen. Their entire playbook, every manipulation tactic they learned from toxic relationships and power dynamics and psychological warfare, all of it just shattered against the wall of your complete and total detachment. You weren't supposed to evolve past their reach. You weren't supposed to become unreachable while still being visible. You weren't supposed to master the one thing that makes manipulators lose their minds, the ability to exist in their presence without being affected by their presence. Do you understand what you just did to them? Do you comprehend the existential crisis you triggered in their minds when you responded to their calculated attack with nothing more than a polite nod and a subject change? You didn't give them anger. You didn't give them tears. You didn't give them the satisfaction of watching you crumble under the weight of their judgment. Instead, you gave them something infinitely more devastating. You gave them irrelevance. You made them realize that all their schemes, all their plots, all their carefully constructed scenarios designed to make you lose control, they meant absolutely nothing to you. Not because you're pretending not to care, but because you genuinely don't anymore. They wanted you broken, begging for closure, desperate for answers, consumed by the need to understand why they did. But you're over here building empires in your mind, laughing at inside jokes with yourself, planning a future where they don't even exist as a footnote. And that is what's killing them, slowly, watching you thrive in a reality where they're not even important enough to hate. They realize now that anger would have been a gift, because anger means you still care enough to feel something. But indifference? Indifference is the announcement that they no longer matter enough to generate any emotional response at all. Welcome to your power, because you just learned how to become untouchable without leaving the room. Let's talk about what's happening behind their screens right now, in the privacy of their spiraling thoughts. They're refreshing your page, checking your stories, monitoring your movements like intelligence agents tracking a target they can't quite capture. But here's the difference. You're not hiding. You're not running. You're just living, breathing, existing in a frequency they can no longer access. And that's causing a malfunction in their system. See, their entire sense of power was built on your reaction. They needed you to fight back so they could play the victim. They needed you to defend yourself so they could twist your words into weapons. They needed you to show weakness so they could feel strong by comparison. But you stopped playing the game entirely, and now they're standing in an empty arena, screaming at shadows, realizing that all their training was for an opponent who's no longer even in the building. They're still throwing punches at the air, still delivering their rehearsed monologues to an audience that's already left the theater. Every time they craft another subtle jab, another passive-aggressive comment, another carefully worded message designed to trigger you into responding, they're met with the most devastating response possible: nothing at all. No reaction, no acknowledgement, no sign that their words even reached you, let alone affected you. And with each passing day of your silence, they spiral deeper into confusion, frustration, and something they're not quite ready to name yet: fear. Because here's what they're starting to realize in those quiet moments when they can't lie to themselves anymore. If you can survive their worst attacks without flinching, if you can watch their schemes unfold without even changing your expression, if you can hear their lies and manipulation and choose to simply walk away rather than correct the record, then you've become something they never anticipated. You've become immune to their poison. You've developed antibodies to their toxicity. And worse yet, you did it without announcing your evolution, without posting motivational quotes about rising above, without giving them any warning that you were transforming into someone they could no longer control. You just quietly became unreachable, and now they're terrified of what that means. They're asking themselves questions they never thought they'd have to ask. Why isn't this working anymore? Why aren't they reacting? Did they ever actually care, or were we just entertainment to them this whole time? And the most terrifying question of all, if they can let go of us this easily, what does that say about our importance, our value, our impact on their life? These questions are eating them alive because the answers contradict everything they believed about power dynamics. They thought they were the ones in control, pulling the strings, orchestrating your emotional responses like a puppet master. But you cut the strings without them noticing, and now they're stuck holding empty threads, performing for an audience of one, themselves. Watch them now. Watch how they escalate their tactics, trying desperately to get some kind of response from you. They'll manufacture new drama. They'll bring up old wounds. They'll try to provoke you through mutual friends, through social media, through any channel they think might still have access to your emotional center. But each attempt just proves your point more clearly. They need you to care. They're desperate for you to care. Because if you don't care, then everything they did to you, every manipulation, every betrayal, every calculated move designed to hurt you, it all becomes meaningless. They become meaningless. And that's the one truth they can't accept, that you've moved into a reality where they simply don't matter anymore. Let me tell you what really happened to you. The transformation they'll never understand because they've never experienced it themselves. You didn't become cold, you became clear. You didn't build walls, you removed the doors they thought they had access to. You didn't shut down emotionally, you simply reallocated your energy away from dead investments and into assets that actually generate returns. This wasn't numbness, this was precision. This wasn't avoidance, this was strategy. You looked at the equation of your life and realized that certain variables were consistently producing negative results, and you did what any rational person would do. You removed those variables from the equation entirely. They can't comprehend this because their entire emotional framework is built on reaction and counter-reaction, on drama and resolution, on conflict and reconciliation. They need the push and pull, the back and forth, the endless cycle of hurt and healing that keeps them feeling relevant, feeling powerful, feeling like they matter in someone's story. But you stepped out of that cycle completely. You didn't just stop playing their game. You left the stadium, sold your ticket, forgot the sport existed, and now they're still on the field, looking around in confusion, wondering where their opponent went, not understanding that the game ended the moment you realized it was rigged from the start. Your indifference isn't a defense mechanism. It's an offense strategy. Every moment they spend trying to figure you out, trying to provoke you, trying to regain some kind of emotional access to your inner world, that's a moment they're not spending on their own growth, their own healing, their own evolution. They're stuck in the past, replaying scenarios, crafting comebacks to arguments that already ended, preparing for battles you're never going to fight. Meanwhile, you're 3 steps ahead, building a future they are not invited to witness, let alone participate in. They wanted to be your main character, and you demoted them to background extras who don't even get screen time anymore. This is what mastery looks like: the ability to witness chaos without becoming chaotic, to observe manipulation without being manipulated, to recognize attempts at emotional terrorism and respond with the equivalent of a polite yawn. You're not suppressing your emotions. You're choosing which emotions deserve your energy and which ones are just noise created by people who mistake volume for importance. They confused your kindness for weakness, your patience for desperation, your willingness to engage as evidence that they held power over you. But all along, you were just observing, learning, taking notes on exactly what kind of person reveals themselves when they think they have the upper hand. And now the tables have turned in a way they never saw coming. They thought power was loud, aggressive, confrontational, but you're teaching them a different lesson entirely. Real power is the ability to walk away from anything that doesn't serve you without explanation, justification, or remorse. Real power is being unbothered by opinions from people whose judgment you no longer value. Real power is the capacity to exist in the same space as your enemies without them occupying a single inch of your mental real estate. You're not fighting them. You're not avoiding them. You're simply indifferent to them. And that indifference is more devastating than any revenge scheme you could have crafted. Your silence is a language they're finally starting to understand, and every translation terrifies them more than the last. When you don't respond to their provocations, they hear, "You're not worth my time." When you don't defend yourself against their accusations, they hear, "Your opinion of me is no longer relevant to my self-concept." When you don't engage with their drama, they hear, "I've moved into a psychological space you don't have clearance to access anymore." Every non-response is a message, and the message is clear. You've graduated to a level of consciousness where their games look like children's tantrums, immature, transparent, and ultimately meaningless. They're discovering something that's shattering their worldview piece by piece. They're learning that silence isn't absence, it's presence, of a different kind. It's the presence of boundaries so solid they don't need to be verbally defended. It's the presence of self-respect so complete it doesn't require external validation. It's the presence of clarity so profound that their confusion can't penetrate it. Your silence isn't empty space, it's occupied territory. It's a fortress they can't breach because they don't even know what weapons to use against someone who's already immune to everything they've got. Watch how your silence is rewriting their narrative about power and control. They used to think that the person who talks the loudest, who gets the last word, who dominates the conversation, that person wins. But you're showing them a different truth entirely. The person who can remain calm while everyone else loses their composure, that's the person in control. The person who can observe chaos without being consumed by it, that's the person with real power. The person who can let accusations, judgments, and provocations slide off them like water off a duck's back. That's the person who's truly free. And freedom, real freedom, is something they've never experienced because they're still enslaved to the need for validation, attention, and emotional reaction from others. Your silence is exposing their desperation in ways words never could. Every time they escalate their tactics, every time they try a new approach to get you to respond, they're revealing how much they need you to care. They're showing everyone watching that they're not the powerful, unbothered individuals they pretend to be. They're showing that they're actually dependent on your emotional energy to feel relevant, to feel important, to feel like they still have some kind of impact on your life. And the more they try, the more obvious it becomes. They're not over you. They're obsessed with getting a reaction from you, any reaction. Because your indifference is the mirror that shows them their own insignificance. This is psychological warfare at its finest, winning without fighting, conquering without advancing, defeating your enemy by making them defeat themselves. They're spending their mental energy on you, while you're spending yours on literally anything else. They're losing sleep thinking about your next move, while you're sleeping peacefully, dreaming about futures they're not part of. They're analyzing your behavior, trying to decode your motives, attempting to predict your responses, while you're not thinking about them at all. And that imbalance, that's where your victory lives. Not in proving them wrong, not in getting revenge, not in making them suffer, but in simply not caring enough to do any of those things. Let's talk about what you gained when you stopped giving them access to your emotional responses. You gained something more valuable than revenge, more satisfying than vindication, more powerful than any comeback you could have delivered. You gained sovereignty over your own inner world. You became the sole authority on what matters, what deserves attention, what gets emotional investment. Good, bad, They used to be able to dictate your mood, control your thoughts, occupy your mental space rent-free. But now they're locked out completely, standing outside the gates of your consciousness, begging to be let in, even if just to be hated, even if just to be the villain in your story. Because being something in your narrative is better than being nothing at all. Your indifference is pure liberation, because it freed you from the exhausting performance of caring what they think, say, or do. You used to spend hours crafting the perfect response, analyzing their words for hidden meanings, preparing defenses for attacks that might never come. You used to carry their judgment around like weights, adjusting your behavior based on how they might perceive it, censoring yourself to avoid giving them ammunition. But now you've dropped all that weight, and the lightness you feel, that's what freedom actually feels like. It's not loud or dramatic or particularly noticeable to outside observers, but inside, you're flying, while they're still crawling through the mud, dragging around the burden of their own bitterness. They're starting to see that you didn't just stop responding to them. You started building a life that's fundamentally incompatible with their existence. You're operating on frequencies they can't tune into. You're pursuing goals they can't comprehend. You're finding joy in places they'll never think to look. While they're still stuck replaying old conversations, you're having new experiences they'll never be part of. While they're still obsessing over what you meant by that cryptic post, you've already moved on to 5 different phases of growth they can't track. Your indifference isn't static. It's dynamic. It's the active process of building a reality where they're irrelevant, by design, not by declaration. Here's what they're too immature to understand yet. Your indifference is actually a gift to them, though they'll never recognize it as such. By refusing to engage with their toxicity, you're giving them space to grow up, to evolve, to potentially become better humans without you as their emotional punching bag. By not reacting to their provocations, you're forcing them to confront their own behavior without the distraction of your responses. By walking away with dignity and tact, you're modeling what emotional maturity actually looks like, even if they're too invested in their victim narrative to learn the lesson. You're not their teacher, not their therapist, not their redemption arc, but your indifference might be the wake-up call they need, even if that awakening happens years after you've forgotten they exist. But let's be real. You're not indifferent for their benefit, you're indifferent for yours. Because you finally understood that the opposite of love isn't hate, it's complete and total disinterest. Hate still binds you to people, still gives them power over your emotional state, still makes them relevant in your daily existence. But indifference is the ultimate disconnection. It's the final boundary. It's the statement that says, you're not my enemy, you're not my friend, you're not even a thought that crosses my mind unless someone brings you up, and even then, I'll change the subject within seconds. You've achieved what most people only fantasize about. The ability to look at someone who once meant everything and feel absolutely nothing. No anger, no hurt, no nostalgia. Just blank, peaceful emptiness where they used to live. Now we arrive at the most satisfying part of this entire evolution. They're watching you live your best life, not because you're performing for them, not because you're trying to prove anything, but because you genuinely no longer factor them into your decision-making process. They see you thriving, and they can't claim credit for motivating you. They see you happy, and they can't pretend they're the reason. They see you succeeding, and they can't insert themselves into the story of how you got there. A fool mocks today, but tomorrow, he chokes on the echoes of his own laughter. Oh, how they laughed, how they sneered, their voices carried like knives through the air, slicing into your soul, leaving wounds they never thought would heal. You were their entertainment, the easy target, the quiet one, the one they thought would never rise. But life, oh, life is a wicked little magician. It flips the script when they least expect it. See, people like them, they never think about tomorrow. They never think about the weight of their words, the venom in their tone, the scars they leave behind. They dish out disrespect like it's free, never realizing that the bill always comes due. And now they sit in silence. Now their world is haunted, not by ghosts. No, ghosts are merciful. No, they are haunted by something much worse. Regret. The kind that lingers in the bones, the kind that keeps them up at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering, what if they had treated you differently? What if they had respected you instead of mocking you? What if they had seen your worth before it was too late? But regret is a funny thing. It doesn't knock, it doesn't warn, it just arrives, uninvited, unwanted, and unrelenting. And once it settles in, there's no escaping it. Now the joke is on them. Every word thrown at you in hate is just another brick for your empire. They thought their words would break you, thought their laughter would crush you, thought their whispers, their insults, their venomous little games would be the end of you. They never saw what was happening behind the scenes, never realized they weren't killing you, they were building you. Because the universe? Oh, the universe has a wicked sense of humor. It watches, it waits, it keeps receipts. Every word they spit, every smirk they wear, every time they look down on you like you're nothing, the universe writes it all down, and it never forgets. They thought they were just having fun, thought they could toy with you and walk away clean. But that's the thing about energy. You don't just get to throw it out into the world and expect it to disappear. No, energy is a boomerang. And sooner or later it swings back with a vengeance. What they gave you in disrespect, you turned into fire, into fuel. Every insult, another brick in your empire. Every laugh, another reason to sharpen your edge. They tried to burn you, and all they did was teach you how to walk through the flames without flinching. And now, they watch from a distance, eyes wide, stomach sinking, heart pounding, as they realize you survived. No, not just survived, you transformed. You became something bigger, something stronger, something untouchable. And the worst part? They helped make you this way. The universe has a brutal way of balancing the scales. What goes around doesn't just come around, it comes back 10 times harder. So while they sit there, drowning in their regret, choking on the weight of their own past, you stand tall, untouchable. That's the strongest revenge. Not screaming, not fighting, just becoming so great that their words, their doubts, their disrespect become nothing more than echoes of a past they can't erase. The deadliest retaliation? Absolute silence. Let their demons do the talking. They wanted a reaction, they craved it, needed it. They disrespected you, mocked you, spat their poison, all in hopes of seeing you flinch, because that's how weak minds operate. They mistake silence for weakness. They think if you don't strike back, you've lost. But oh, how wrong they were. See, real power, it doesn't scream, it doesn't argue, it doesn't beg for respect. Real power just exists, and that terrifies them. When you stop explaining, stop proving, stop giving them the satisfaction of your frustration, that's when the real game begins. Because now they sit with their own thoughts. Now, the silence they once laughed at devours them. No distractions. No back and forth, just them, and the slow, creeping realization that they might have just lost something irreplaceable. Disrespect is loud, it's obnoxious. It echoes in rooms full of cowards who need an audience to feel strong. But regret? Regret is silent. It sits in the dark. It lingers in the empty spaces, whispering in their ears when no one else is around. You walking away? That was the punishment. No yelling, no revenge, no desperate attempt to prove them wrong. Just your absence. And that absence became a mirror, forcing them to face exactly who they are. Now they scroll through old messages, revisit memories, wonder if maybe, just maybe, they should have played it differently. But it's too late. The show is over. The curtains have closed. And the worst part, they weren't just another chapter in your story. They were a footnote. Let them sit in that silence. Let them rot in their own thoughts, because the deadliest revenge isn't about striking back. It's about making them realize they were never worth your energy to begin with. You don't notice oxygen until you can't breathe. At first, they don't feel it. They move on, still drunk on their own arrogance, still believing they were right to treat you like nothing. They laugh, they celebrate, they carry on as if losing you was just another forgettable moment in their story. But then, something shifts. The silence becomes heavy. The air feels different, like a room missing its walls, like a song missing its rhythm. They don't notice it at first, but deep down, something inside them is off. Something is missing. See, people never realize the value of what they have while it's in front of them. They assume it will always be there, available, accessible. But that's the thing about a prize. You don't just find it again once it's gone. They replay old conversations, reread old texts, scroll through memories they once ignored. They tell themselves they don't miss you, but oh, their actions betray them. Because every place they go, every person they meet, every late night spent staring at the ceiling reminds them of you, and that's when the regret starts to sink in. It's not a crash. It's a slow, suffocating realization, a heavy weight pressing against their chest. Because now, suddenly, they understand. You weren't just an option. You were the difference, the rare, the irreplaceable. But the worst part? There's no undo button, no second chances. They gambled with something priceless and lost. And now, they're left with nothing but echoes of your presence, shadows of what could have been, and a hollow feeling that no one else can fill. This is how the universe punishes fools. Not with pain, not with tragedy, but with realization, the slow, agonizing realization that they had something extraordinary and they let it slip through their fingers. And you don't even notice. Because while they sit there, drowning in the mess they made, you've already moved on. You were never the one who lost. They were. They thought they buried you, but they were just planting a legend. They walked away, heads high, convinced they had won. Convinced they had crushed you, reduced you to nothing. In their minds, you were just another casualty of their arrogance, another fool who had the misfortune of crossing their path. They thought they had the upper hand. Oh, how delusional. Because the thing about illusions, they only last until reality hits. And reality? Reality is ruthless. It creeps in like a slow poison, eating away at their confidence, dismantling their certainty, unraveling the fantasy they built to keep themselves feeling superior. At first, they ignore it, tell themselves they made the right choice, convince themselves you were never that special. But then, the cracks start to show. Their world, once so steady, starts to tremble. And then it happens. That moment of realization, that gut-wrenching, stomach-dropping epiphany. They were never the powerful ones, never the ones in control. It was never you who needed them, it was them who needed you. And now they see it. But it's too late. Because the version of you they tried to break no longer exists. They thought they buried you, thought their disrespect, their arrogance, their dismissal would be the final nail in your coffin. But they didn't bury you. They planted something unstoppable, And now, as they sit in their hollow victory, they watch you rise. Rise into something greater, something stronger, something they could never touch again. And that's when the weight of their mistake crushes them, because they didn't just lose you, they lost the only thing that ever made them feel like they mattered. Let them sit in their own destruction. Let them watch, helpless, as the legend they tried to kill grows bigger, stronger, untouchable. Because nothing haunts a person more than realizing they destroyed their own blessing. You don't argue with the doubters. You bury them under your achievement. They wanted you to fail. They needed you to, because your downfall would have been their validation, proof that they were right to doubt you, right to mock you, right to treat you like an afterthought. They laughed at your ambition, scoffed at your dreams, thought they had you all figured out. Oh, what a mistake. Because while they were running their mouths, you were building in silence. Every insult, every rejection, every time they smirked in your face, you turned it into fuel. You didn't argue, you didn't beg for respect. You just worked. And now your success isn't just a victory. It's their funeral. No flowers, no sympathy, just the cold, harsh reality that they have to face. You made it. And not just made it, you soared. You climbed so high that their opinions can't even touch you anymore. And that kills them. Because now they realize they were never the giants. You were just moving in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. And strike you did. Hard, so hard that their laughter turned into silence. Their doubt turned into regret. Now they're watching you from the sidelines, stuck in the same place, while you become something untouchable, the ghost of the success they'll never have. See, the worst thing you can do to someone who doubted you isn't revenge, it isn't confrontation, it's making them completely irrelevant. They wanted to be part of your story, even if it was as the villain, but you left them out of the final chapters. Now, they're nothing more than a forgotten footnote in a book they'll never finish reading. No need for words, no need for explanations. Let them suffer in their own silence, because the best revenge is never looking back. The same doors they slammed shut are now locked on the outside. Funny, isn't it? How time has a way of flipping the script. The same people who tossed you aside like nothing now suddenly remember your name. The same ones who laughed at your pain, mocked your struggles, and doubted your worth are now standing outside the doors they swore they'd never need to walk through again. At first, they hesitated. Their ego wouldn't let them admit it, but then it started eating away at them, slowly, painfully. Regret. That bitter aftertaste of arrogance. They thought they could replace you, thought they could do better. But now they see the truth. And the truth, it hurts. You were the rarest thing they ever had. Loyalty, strength, fire. The kind of presence that doesn't beg to be valued, it demands it. But they were too blind to see it then. Too caught up in their own illusions. And now, as they stand there, knocking, they realize something terrifying. The door isn't opening. It never will, because respect isn't a revolving door. You don't get to walk in and out when it's convenient. You don't get to spit on something sacred and then expect it to welcome you back with open arms. Some things once broken can never be repaired. And it's not about hate. Oh no. This isn't about revenge. It's about self-respect. because the version of you that once tolerated their disrespect, that person doesn't exist anymore. They killed that version with their indifference. And the new you doesn't lower your standards for people who had the chance to appreciate you and didn't. So let them knock, let them beg, let them sit outside the walls they built with their own arrogance, because the past may have been open arms, but the future is locked. And the key, it was thrown away the moment they chose to play with something that was never a game. A scar doesn't hurt anymore, but it never fades either. They say forgiveness is for you, not for them. And they're right. You don't carry the weight of hatred, because hate is still a chain, still a form of attachment. And you don't carry dead weight anymore. You let it go, not for them, but for yourself. Because their betrayal is a story you refuse to reread. But here's what they don't understand. Forgiveness is not an invitation. It is not a reset button. It does not mean things go back to how they were. No. Forgiveness is letting go of the pain, but keeping the lesson. It's looking at the scar and remembering exactly how it got there. Not with anger, not with revenge, but with clarity. You don't hate them. You don't even care about them anymore. But forgetting, that will never happen. Because forgetting means erasing reality. It means pretending the knife wasn't in your back, that the words didn't cut, that the betrayal didn't burn. And that's not who you are. You don't rewrite history to make others comfortable. You keep the truth where it belongs, etched into your soul, so they can come back with apologies, with excuses, with the same old lies wrapped in new packaging. It doesn't matter, because the new version of you, the version they helped create, that version has boundaries, standards, self-respect. That version knows that some people don't deserve second chances. You may forgive, you may even smile at them, but the door, it stays shut, because once you've seen someone's true colors, you don't repaint them to match your fantasy. You let them live with the reality they created, while you move forward, untouched, unbothered, and forever. The worst punishment? Knowing they lost a one-of-a-kind soul. Regret is a slow poison. It doesn't hit all at once. It creeps in, a whisper at first, then a scream, a sickness of the mind that no medicine can cure. And that is their punishment. Not your anger, not your revenge, but their own damn thoughts eating them alive. They wake up and for a moment everything is normal. Then it hits them, like a slap to the face, like a knife twisting in their gut. They lost you, not just anyone. You, the one who stood by them when no one else did, the one who saw their flaws and still gave a damn, the one who would have walked through fire for them. And they? See, people never realize what they had until it's gone, until there's no way back, until they look around and realize no one else matches your energy. No one else understands them the way you did. No one else gives them that fire, that intensity, that depth. And that absence, that's a wound that never heals. The mind is a cruel executioner. It replays moments, rewrites memories. It shows them every mistake, every selfish decision, every moment they took you for granted. And no matter how much they try to drown it out with distractions, with other people, with empty laughter, the silence always finds them. And that silence, it is louder than any words you could ever say. louder than any revenge you could ever take. It is the sound of them realizing, too late, that they lost something irreplaceable. And now they have to live with it, while you move forward, unshaken, unscarred, and untouchable. Poetic justice. They once mocked your pain, now they suffer in your absence. Funny how life works, isn't it? The ones who laughed the loudest at your struggle now sit in silence, choking on their own regret. The ones who mocked your pain, who dismissed your worth, who thought you would always be there, they watch you rise, but they can't reach you anymore. And that is the purest form of poetic justice. They used to smirk when you spoke. Now they hang on to your every word, except you're not speaking to them anymore. They used to ignore your presence. Now they'd give anything just to be acknowledged. They used to think they were above you. Now they drown in the reality that they were always beneath you, because you were never weak. You were evolving. Every insult, every dismissal, every ounce of disrespect, it was fuel. They thought they were breaking you, but all they did was forge something stronger. They were so busy trying to tear you down that they never saw what you were building. And now, you walk on a path they can never follow. And they hate it. Oh, they hate it. They want you to turn back, to acknowledge their existence, to give them a second chance. But you don't stop for ghosts. You don't waste time on people who killed your trust, who threw away your loyalty like it was nothing. So keep walking toward your empire, toward your power, toward the version of yourself that never begs, never chases, never looks back. Let them drown in their own regret, because in the end, the final laugh is always yours.